Good morning, good morning, good morning, Samantha. How are you?
I am doing really well. Thank you for asking me to do this with you. I'm really excited about it, and you have amazing topics for this morning.
I know, right? Like I am watching all of the leaders who cooned so hard to get Biden into office be so disappointed by his decisions with his administration and the people who he is hiring. So I have been watching that closely. But how are you doing this morning?
I am doing well. Busy, but busy is good. Still doing work with the unhoused, so meaningful work that's making a difference. So it feels good to be doing that. Family is good. Kids are doing their school. So that's a struggle. Obviously, trying to be all things at the same time is what I've been calling it for the stress of parents or guardians right now, because you're working from home, maybe. But if you're not, that's even more of a struggle. But to be cooking all the meals because, they don't get them at school and kind of literally having to be all the hats that normally we only wear some hats throughout the day for a few hours, but wearing them all at once certainly is a struggle and a challenge, that's for sure.
I'm excited that my children are grown and out of the house and I don't have to do any of that. I am actually at my son's house in Chicago right now, my eldest, and it is a nice apartment. He has he's an adult. Like I'm looking around his child's house and I'm like, this is a grown man. He has a fully stocked bar and a big old TV over there and food in his refrigerator. And I'm like, this is actually.
Yes, I hear that.
He's an adult. Like, oh my God, when did that happen, right?
Now, how old is your oldest son?
He is 28. He is 28, and I am so proud of my kids. Like, I'm leaving this one's house on Thursday, and I'm going to the little one's house in California so I get to visit them. Like, things have changed. It brings to mind an old gospel song, Jesus Can Work It Out. Like, I used to take care of the baby, now the baby can take care of me, right? Like, he was pressuring me yesterday, like, Mom, what do you want for Christmas? I don't know. You can't put me on the spot like that.
Well, I think that's an amazing thing. I can't wait for it. Now, my 20-year-old has moved out, but he's, less than 10 minutes away. But my younger two, especially my freshman in high school, he has said he wants to do the full college experience. He wants to go out of state. He's considering going to an HBCU, which I think would be great for him to, be around only his own people. And so I am obviously encouraging that, but whatever he decides to do, I will support it.
Well, HBCUs are not just for Blacks anymore.
That's another interesting look. We could talk about that all day.
We're gonna have to do a show just about that. It's not just for it's not your grandmother's ACB.
No, it's definitely not. And to be honest, I haven't processed how exactly I feel about that. That's something that I have to explore and look at because I think it depends on the person. Because there is, if you're the minority of anything, there's obviously things to help you along the way more than your other counterparts, and so that's interesting.
Right, that's true. I'm gonna scoot over here because there's more light by this window. It's a nice apartment. It just has a lack of lighting. So I'm gonna move over here and bring my little chair.
All right.
Over this way. That I specifically ordered from McDonald's. So you can't find parking. There's no parking.
Oh no, you're in Chicago. So
when you get here, you're stuck. It's like you either,
it's like LA. It's difficult to find that parking. That is absolutely for sure.
Well, I wanted to talk this morning about this whole Biden situation. How do you feel about the fact that even though African Americans put him into office at a 90% rate, that we are getting shafted when it comes to his administration and those positions, those key positions in the White House?
So many things here. One, that blue no matter who phrase bothered me because it does matter who. We know that it matters who. Look at what happens in our own state when we pull these tactics of blue no matter who. Fourth worst city for Black people in the nation, the Twin Cities. Yes. And that is with Democrats largely being in control for a significant amount of time. Republicans tend not to run, especially for local office. I'm a big fan of local offices because you feel the changes more immediately than you do at the state and the federal level when changes are made. And so Republicans tend not to run for those seats because most major cities tend to be more on the liberal side. So it's not worth it to them to try to get into those seats because that's not their audience. So with that being said, how is it with this blue no matter who? And the Democrats supposedly representing our interests? Why has that number not changed? Why can't we get out of the top 5 of being the worst? We're the second worst state for Black folks. ADOS, however people choose to identify within that Black diaspora. So why has that not changed under Democratic control? And blue no matter who to what end? Every 4 years, a different demographic is a popular demographic. Sometimes it's LGBTs, sometimes it's women. So they always use somebody as the token platform to push their agenda. A lot of promises, right? So every 4 years with this, at what point is this lesser of two evils argument going to stop? And I understand getting Trump out of office. He's a symptom, right? He's not the problem. He's a symptom. He's pushing a particular agenda, and he's definitely found his audience. Absolutely, I don't want him in there. But these types of situations lead to conversations like blue no matter who.
I was when it came to Trump, I'm not afraid of Trump. I wasn't afraid of Trump or what he might do because, as a people, we've seen much worse than Trump. He's not the big bad wolf when it comes to the ADOS community. And it wasn't, oh my God, he's going to take away our democracy. Well, we haven't had a democracy. We've lived under dictatorship since we got here over 401 years ago. So for us to push that argument was so ludicrous to me. I was a big advocate for no tangibles, no vote. And I had elder Democrats come for my head. Not like white people. It was elder people in the ADOS community that American descendants of chattel slavery that came at me, who fought in the civil rights movement. And they did the same thing. They said, no, if you don't pass the Civil Rights Act, you won't get our vote. So in essence, they were saying no tangibles, no vote. So when I come along 40, 50 years later, and I say, listen, no tangibles, no vote, you've already seen the outcome of the civil rights movement. You've already seen what happened in the civil rights movement, and you're comfortable in where that left you. But it did not leave the next generation, and the next generation secure. Now, you can go to your grandma and your great grandma, and they got good credit, and they have houses, they have homes. Yeah. But the generations after that, we're not so lucky. We weren't in that, and they didn't set it up where we were going to be secure generation to generation to generation.
Yeah. That generational wealth building that we know is important, and a lot of people, when they hear wealth, they get the wrong idea of what we're talking about. We're not talking about capitalism in that way. When we talk about generational wealth, what we're really talking about is generational health. Right. And the words that we use, words are like spells. You can speak things into existence and manifest things. And so how we own the narrative and talk about what we need, I think is important. And becoming a voting bloc. We're not a voting bloc. And you see that in other communities, the Somali community, the Latinx community, they vote, especially in the African communities, they vote as a block. So whatever they decide as a group, that's what they're going to do. And so, but we don't have that. And part of that reason is, you can call it what you want to. You can call it getting comfortable. You can call it coonery. Whatever it is that you want to call it, people are comfortable. And some of us are okay being the only Black voice in the room and being that gatekeeper between whatever table they're sitting at in the community. And we see the type of problems that leads to. And I think another interesting thing is how they eat each other alive in the Democratic Party. The man ain't even in office yet, and everybody's mad. And the thing is, they mad about what he already said he ain't gonna do. They said the conversation got leaked about the defunding the police. He never said he was gonna do that. So he said something publicly, then he said it privately. So he's not saying anything that we didn't already know. Y'all can't get mad because he's not going to push an agenda that's revolutionary, that's not transformational. I don't really like that term progressive because people use it just, again, to give people the appearance that they're going to do something different. Right. So at best, I feel like what we're going to get out of this administration is a centrist level setting to at least put things back the way that they were before Trump came into office. And then at that point, at the federal level anyway, we'll see some change.
And see, that's what I like about those communities that do have voting block. They make demands. They understand that voting is an exchange. It's not a gift. You know, we gifted Biden this opportunity. Hi, how are you doing? I don't know. Hello, Nick. What is it? He said, yes. We gifted Biden this opportunity. We allowed him. I'm about to bring you on.
You can still hear me?
I can still hear you. There you go.
All right. So now I'm on. I'm going to end the other broadcast. Okay.
All right. There you go.
We're multitasking.
That was like
screamers, right? We have 1,000,001 things.
We're
I'm on my way to an appointment.
So like when I was saying no tangibles, no votes, I had elders telling me, well, wait till he gets into office and then we can ask. You don't wait until you give somebody something in order to ask them what you need. You tell them up front and you say, this is what my community needs in order to give you our vote. And we had so much opposition. There was so many people who thought we were wrong for not to vote at the top of the ticket if they don't give us reparations. A Black agenda that included reparations that was streamlined for American descendants of chattel slavery. They thought we were wrong, but we're not asking.
Try that again, Minister Toya.
Huh? Can you hear me?
It seems like you're frozen.
Okay, let me see.
I'm gonna get out and get back in and see if that changes things.
Oh my God, I lost Samantha, but she will be back. I hope she will be back once she gets to her car. But yes, we gifted that election to Biden, and I don't understand why people are so upset right now after we already told them that this was going to happen. You cannot expect someone to come afterwards and say, okay, we're now going to hear your reply, your complaints. We're not going to give you what you want. Thank you. I can't really see, guys. I need my glasses. I'm going to go get my glasses when Samantha comes back. Thanks for having this conversation, listening and hearing. I can. It's so funny. When I hit 40, I got to tell you guys, when I hit 40 years old, I could no longer see. Everything was a blur. I was at work one day and I did payroll accounting for 23 years. And imagine having to cut someone's check and not being able to see it. It just went out. And so I can't see. So charge it to my head and not my heart if I don't get to read all of the. Matter of fact, I'm going to get my glasses. They're right here. I don't know why. Here they go. There they go. I am back. Yes, we lost Samantha briefly, but I'm sure she will be back. I am excited about having this conversation. I'm going to text her right quick and let her know that we are waiting for her. All right, I just sent her a message. Yes, they keep arguing that many white people, including myself, used against Trump, which is that he is a racist and biased racist that actually consequences. Wondering what you think about that argument. Okay. Like I was telling Samantha a little while ago, I don't believe that Trump was he wasn't our boogeyman, right? We have faced so many things here in America, so many adversities, so many things that we have faced in here from white people in America, from the status quo in America, that I just don't see Trump as being, he wasn't a big threat to us. The biggest threat to African Americans in this race was not being able to receive reparations, was not having a plan for Black America to survive the next 100 years, next 200 years, something that was going to create generational wealth from one generation to the next. That was the scariest thing for me. Trump was not the scariest thing. When you talk about him being a monster and being a racist, they're all racist. Biden's a racist. Biden is a racist on the down low, and Trump is a racist out front. How do you want your racism? That depends on how you want it. Do you want your racism on undercover, or do you want it out front? Do you want to see the enemy coming, or do you want the enemy to make a move and you never saw him coming? Black people didn't see the 1994 crime bill coming. We didn't see Clinton signing it into law. Tell me, oh, thank God, Samantha's back. We didn't see it being signed into law. Welcome back, love. So LC asked a question. He asked, I don't know if you can see it, but he asked, Lane MC asked, thanks for having this conversation. Listening and hearing Minister Toya Woodland, you said you weren't afraid of Trump. Something I'm wondering about is an argument that many white people, including myself, use against Trump, which is that he is a racist and embodies racist and emboldens racist with actual consequences. Wondering what you think about that argument. And so what I was telling him is that they're all racist.
Yeah.
Biden is a racist on the ground.
I think it's twofold. Mm-hmm. One, I think Trump would have said whatever he has to say to get in with whatever party, because he is he's an opportunist and he's a bootleg businessman, right? That's how he gets things done. I don't even think he believes half of the mess he says. And right? It's not an either or, it's a both and. He knows exactly what he is doing, and he doesn't care, because if that's what he has to say to get what he wants, which is a base, to get elected and have influence, he will do that. Whether he's never going to admit that. So as a result, doesn't matter whether he believes what he's saying or not. Yes, he's absolutely a racist. He dog whistles all the time, right? Stand back and stay ready, or whatever he said, meaning now's not the time. I'll give you the signal when it is. We see that the young man who stabbed four of those Proud Boys in self-defense is currently in jail. Mm-hmm. We've all been to protests where the police turned their back to the right side of the argument, but they staring right at us. And that's a result of, getting that signal. Trump getting elected in itself was a signal, looking at who his base is, and the different groups that carry him, because they vote as a block, which is another thing, that we were talking about before we got cut. They vote as a block, just like other communities do. And I think white people generally fear that our goal is to take the place of white folks when we have no interest in becoming the oppressor. Right. What we're saying is we want some equity so that whatever we need or whatever we want, we can have it without y'all putting up barriers, without y'all gatekeeping, without creating all this bureaucratic process, because white people just get to use the system, whatever system we're talking about. Black folks, ADOS folks, or anybody really who other than white folks that have to use the system, we have to navigate it. Right. We got to know somebody that can get us in and expedite a process, or they're going to, make a little change to move something through faster. And so, how we know how to operate as ADOS folks, right? How we know how to operate, it's not that we bootleg. We just know how to circumvent the system which
That's
is why
right.
we're primed to create new systems because we know the back doors.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. We have to, that old saying that when I used to live here in Chicago, I used to say, people say, well, Toya, how did you get that job? I said, well, you have to know somebody who knows somebody who knew somebody that knew somebody that could get you into this job. Mm-hmm. Now, and once you get there, once that person who knew somebody who knew somebody who got you there, you have to work 10 times harder. I did payroll accounting for 23 years, right? Mm-hmm. You have to work 10. I was there at 6 a.m. I didn't leave until after the doors were closed. And everyone else was gone. And even every time that there was a promotion, oh, we want to promote you, but this, but that, and so they'll let us in there, but they only want to let us go so far. Right. And it reminds me of those bottom tier positions that we are dealing with right now. We're seeing right now in the young lady, the mayor, was that the mayor of Georgia? Which mayor was that Biden offered to be the ambassador to the Bahamas? He basically was going to ship her back to the Bahamas.
It was somebody in Georgia that I believe was a mayor or some. They're in an elected position, and I'm glad that she turned it down. And people told her that she should. Why? Because for somebody who is, I hate when they say rising star, but somebody who is getting traction with the people that they represent, that doesn't make sense for them to make a move like that. And so I saw that offering as a way to stop her steam.
Yes.
Distraction, right? Worry about the Bahamas. Go do that. Don't worry about what's happening here. And as we know, like Georgia is making great strides. Them folks put their money together and purchase that land, and they start in their own city called Freedom, Georgia.
I like that.
There's work happening, and we have to learn from people that have tried these things before, whether it's Black Wall Street, the controversial group with what was that group called? The Sannyasins, when they moved out there to I think it was Oregon, and started their own city, bought their own land, built all the stuff, tried to take over the politics of the city right next door, who was trying to stop them. Ultimately, was it a good group? Debatable. Whether it was a cult.
I think you're frozen. She probably is going under a tunnel.
But we've seen it before, where somebody will try to stop that and get mad when they start creating laws that actually start benefiting people, because they will. You start a new city, you elect the government, you start creating the laws or the ordinances. Other people see that, and then they try to get involved. And so we will have to support that city from afar, or go there because we know they're going to try to stop it, like any other thing that Black folks have tried to do. You don't want to include us in the system. We build our own system. Y'all tear that system down,
right?
Too. And we know what that's about.
What upsets me right now is the love and support that the status quo is giving to our African counterparts, our brothers and sisters from Africa. While we love you and we want the best for you, we have to put ADOS first. And that's not saying that we're not standing with you, because we do stand with you. But what we need is for you to stand with us in our cry for reparations. And when we're able to stand, we're able to help you better. Just like with the Civil Rights Movement and the Civil Rights Act. After that came, we fought for the Immigration Act, right? That was us. That wasn't white Americans saying, oh my God, we want immigrants to come over. No, it wasn't us. It was your brothers and sisters that were here before you that saw a need to bring more of us over. And then for you to get here and treat us as if we don't matter, it's heartbreaking. Let me say that right now. I'm going to say that to all of my brothers and sisters from Africa. It's heartbreaking because our ancestors fought so hard to get you here. And so we brought you here so that we can have someone here with us. We didn't want to be alone, but we're still alone, right? And so what we've been asking, what the status quo and what white people will try to do is pit us against each other. It's time for us to stop being pitted against each other. It's time for us to stop believing what you're told when you come into this country, that Black people are bad and we're doing this and we're doing that. We are your brothers and sisters. We've been here 401 years and we need your help. Yeah. Help us to get to where we need to be, right?
Yeah.
And when helping us helps you, and helping Black people attain reparations helps America, because crime goes down. You want to fight crime in the Black community? Pay us our debt, and we can feed our children. You know, allow us to have generational wealth where we don't have to rob, steal, sell drugs, drugs that you're legalizing now and that you're selling. But allow us the opportunity to get to a place where we can be fully self-sufficient. And I don't understand why white America does not want that for us when they complain about everything that we do. Everything that happens in the Black community, they complain, oh, it's too many drugs, it's too much crime. Well, we can reduce that. Reparations is the key.
Access and education.
Yes,
So
and that's included in the reparations plan, right? Like we have, ADOS has a plan for reparations. Of course, we want you to cut the check. $16 trillion. We see that. Right? But along that is health and healing for families and education. And there's so many other things involved in reparations, because our community is dying mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And we need to be able to take care of ourselves, be able to further our wealth, our children, our education, be able to further our community, because with Black people make this country so much better. We round it out, right? What would you do without us? So I think that it's time that we start to take a real look, and that's why we're going to the Capitol on Inauguration Day. We're going to the White House, BLM Minnesota, Black Caucus, Green Party Black Caucus. We are going to the White House on Inauguration Day, and we are demanding Black agenda that includes reparations for American descendants of chattel slavery. American descendants of chattel slavery deserve reparations. And we are making our demands clear, because we're not going to allow you to just be seated comfortably. We want you to know on day one that this is what we want and this is what we're fighting for. And we're no justice, no peace. No, you will be no rest until you pay that debt that you owe to America. And I just want to let the Democrats know, the Republicans know, progressives know that we are not sitting idly by, because you had the old Black people, you scared them into voting Trump out, and you got Biden in. This is not my grandmother's movement. This is a new day. It's the dawn of a new day. What do you think, Sam?
I want to know why we have not called. And I think this is really the vehicle or the mechanism to trigger the reparations that we're asking for. That was a genocide. What happened to our ancestors brought here, we have millions of our ancestors at the bottom of the sea.
Yes.
Right? Whether they jumped over or they were threw over, a combination of both. This was a genocide on us, what they did to our people, feeding our babies to alligators, making clothing out of our skin.
Yes.
Hanging us, maiming us, all of the raping our men in front of the women, so that to cause that divide. So all of these things happened to our people, and it was a genocide. A genocide. If you name it a genocide, right, and stop just calling it slavery, we were enslaved, right?
Yes.
What actually happened to us was a genocide.
Yes, exactly.
With Freedom Georgia.
I lost your volume.
Actually designate the land either that we take for ourselves by purchase or that is owed to us that we take, and maybe we call it a reservation. It is reserved for us, and we have some sovereignty to learn from our Native community. Some of the things that were provided to them, but now we know, right? They don't even have running water, and just all of the issues of you can have your own land, but we're still going to prevent you from having access to basic needs so that your people still remain in poverty while giving the illusion that y'all have some sort of sovereignty when they are also on some land. If they were given their land back, we could talk with them about what we were going to get and whatnot. So these are just some of the things that we could be weaved in as far as the mechanism to trigger getting these reparations. But bottom line, I believe it must be called a genocide.
I never thought of it that way.
All the time about genocide. Remember when Representative Omar didn't take that vote about calling, I think it was the Armenian genocide. She refused to take that vote for a multitude of reasons. But it's interesting how we will take a vote in our own, house where we make all the rules,
Right.
and we talk about every other country but our own. And I feel it must be named a genocide. And as that result of that genocide, run us our money, run us our land, and run us our autonomy. Period. Point blank. It's
I
not
love
a
it. I love
negotiation.
it.
It
I
is a
never thought
demand.
of
We are
that
not
way,
asking you.
we're demanding. We are
Mhm.
demand. I love it. I never thought of it as a genocide before. And you're totally right. You're absolutely right. You know, you something came to mind. I thought about the Haitian government when you were speaking, and how Haiti fought for their freedom. But they fought for their freedom, but they weren't allowed to be involved in trade. They weren't allowed to be a functioning society. And the Haitian government was cut out of so many things that would have made their country sustainable, right? So they
Yes.
say, okay, we're not going to fight you anymore because we can't win physically, but we will fight you financially. And that country has been poor ever since. And this is something that the Americans and the French and the British all take part in. The United Nations as a whole, no one will trade with Haitians or Haiti,
Mm-hmm.
even to this day, right? So
Yep.
when
Just
we
like
talk
with
about
Cuba,
they'll
right?
give us our freedom, they gave American descendants American slaves their freedom. But what they did not do was you release a group of 2 million people from nothing to nothing with nothing. Then their nothing come from nothing leaves what? Nothing.
Right.
So
Well,
there's nothing for
physically
us to
free.
do or pass. How we made it this far, it only could have been God. I don't
That's
even know
right.
how we made it this far. I don't believe, but I don't believe God has brought us this far. And that song has never meant so much to me to leave us now. Because as I read, I'm not understanding how we got from being released from slavery and still existing to this day. It's got to be nobody but God. Because I can't even understand it. Like we had nothing to live on. No one to help us. No, we didn't have boots. They said, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And we didn't have no straps because we had no boots. So I'm not even, I'm amazed and I applaud us as a people, our ancestors for even being able to get us here to this point. I don't even understand it myself. But I am grateful to God. I am grateful that He has continued to keep us. But now we are calling for reparations for our people. We are calling for the payment of the debt that America owes us. If you can give $8 billion to the Native Alaskans in the CARES Act just recently, you can pay us our money. If you can give $600 extra every week in unemployment to people for unemployment, you can pay us the money you owe us. If you can send out a personal check like Trump had to sign each check, right? $1,200 each American person and plus, you can pay ADOS the debt that is owed to them. And so when we talk about where's the money come from, America owes the debt. They did the crime. They got to pay the dime. And that's my thoughts on that. What do you think, Samantha? We were supposed to be talking about something else, but I totally forgot.
Look, and we have yet to be prioritized. Like I said at the beginning of our conversation, right? Every 4 years, yep, down here, another group of people is the sexy group. And every time it seems like it's our time, somebody else gets bumped in the front of the queue. So I'm unapologetic about calling that out. I'm unapologetic of the demands of what our people need, period, point blank. And I think that reparations should come down even to the municipal level. And so I think maybe that's where the fight starts, to start pushing this conversation. It's pushing it from the local level, at the grassroots level, and demanding that the mayor of St. Paul and the mayor of Minneapolis and these council members prioritize reparations at the local level and what that looks like. It's not going to be on the scale of what we could do nationally, but it is definitely a start. And what we need for people that, I always say the African diaspora, because, or the Black diaspora, because if there's, different people refer to different terms as far as how they identify. Regardless, we all got to get in this fight.
Right.
Everybody needs to get in the fight. The agreement comes from what the problem is, because everybody argues about not agreeing. None of us agree all the time. The agreement piece comes to agreeing on what the problem is. The next phase after that, with everybody being in the fight, is everybody take the piece that you want to own, or we can have multiple strategies to get to where we want to be. And that's fine, so long as we agree on the problem. After that, agreement is irrelevant. After that is consensus
Yes.
and
Yes.
supporting multiple strategies to get to where we want to be, because that's what it's going to take.
Uh, okay. She didn't see that I was on live. How
I'm
you?
going to break for my appointment, and I'm so sad because I feel like we're just revving our engines.
Well,
But this,
this is a good thing about this streamline that I have ordered, that we can do this as often as we like, and maybe we'll talk about doing something maybe twice a week or something like that, because I have
I
really
would love
enjoyed
to.
talking to you, and I just want to just speak to your last comment about the reparations at the local level. Big ups to Trern, our Minnesota Green Party chair, who is working with on a piece for St. Paul, reparations piece for St. Paul, with a couple of council members and nonpartisan groups. So big ups to him, and much success in his work and his future work. So I'm really proud of the work that our chair is doing right now. But
Absolutely. And I love and support you. And I just want to let you know, the thing that I love about you the most, regardless of whether we agree on all things, is that you never, ever, ever stop talking about us and the demands. And anytime that I see you talking, you're talking about us. And so for me, we're from different generations, but for me to have one of our elders doing that is so meaningful, and it brings me to tears often, because there's not enough of our leaders that aren't out here with the foolery and the coonery actually representing us, and talking about us in a way that's positive, in a way that is encouraging and inspiring. So I just want to tell you I love you and thank you. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you. I love you too, and I think people really enjoyed us. I think that we're going to do this more often.
Yes, ma'am.
It's hard when you find that. It's cool when you find that chemistry with somebody, right? Like, and this was our first show, everybody. But I thank you and I love you. I love the fact that you stand up for us and stand up for women and Black men. I love that, because not enough Black women are standing up for Black men and our veterans. Because you were a veteran, of course, but.
I'm at the VA now, actually, taking care of some stuff. But yes, we need more people talking about us, because we exist in all spaces and
Yes.
places, wearing multiple hats. And so that needs to be lifted up and recognized. And one other little thing, it's always going to be one more little thing with me. When I talk about who's going to be working on my campaign, because we need somebody in there for this estimate and taxation seat in Minneapolis that's going to pull the right levers with that levy, so that the council can be supported to do more with more funding.
I didn't know you were running. Are you officially announcing it right here on our show?
I have just done it on Facebook, but this is the first time in a live broadcast that I have announced, and I plan on doing like the full announcement on my birthday, which happens to be January 18th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And there's going to be a lot of Black men, young Black men, looking for opportunities, working and leading on this campaign. And some of them people might question, because they're people that are, they need to be restored. They may have made a mistake. They may have done some things that were harmful. And they're looking to rectify that. And so I can't think of a better way to do that than, number one, to stand behind a Black woman, but also dedicated to our cause.
What are you
And
running for?
to get that opportunity to have that that repair and to be given another chance,
Yes.
I think is powerful and important, and I'll stand by that. And I don't care what anybody has to say once I start announcing some of the folks that are going to be working on my team, because it's something that I believe in, and I have to practice what I preach and not just walk around talking about it. So this seat is the Board of Estimate and Taxation. One of the biggest responsibilities of this role is civic engagement and educating the public.
Okay.
So that's my jam. And I feel it's an honest seat, because you don't get paid six figures. It's like $37 a meeting. It's not that many meetings a year. But the bigger responsibility is being out in community, getting to engage with people and letting them know what is the budgeting process, how does it all work, what is a levy, and bringing people along so that they can start to support some of these things that seem like minutia, but understanding and how it is intertwined and related to everything that we do. And we do need to start paying attention to every single position on the ballot that we bubble in.
Yeah.
Every single one.
I fully support you. Because I, as I did the last campaign, I couldn't vote for you then, but I can vote for you now.
Yeah.
But I stand with my sister, and this is what you choose to do, and this is how you feel that you are best. We can best be used in the community. I stand with my sister, right? Like, and when I say those words, I mean those words. You know me. So
that speech was beautiful, by the way. The one that we're all in, that has all the Black women leaders, but the background is your speech.
Thank you.
That brought me to tears, like I said, because there's not a lot of Black women that do stand with our Black women, because we get caught up. We'll give white people 1,000,001 chances to.
I might not even like you, but I'm gonna stand with you. We might have never seen eye to eye on anything, and I might not like. But when it comes to my sisters and standing against the status quo, or standing against someone who's don't have our best interests at heart, I stand with my sister. And I mean that. I mean, there have been people, someone that ran at the same time as you that ran. She and I have never seen eye to eye. But I met up with her through her campaign because that was my sister. Now, we don't talk today, but if she run again or she need me again, I'm going to stand with my sister because that's my sister.
That's right. And I agree with that. That's right. Well, I will talk with you the next time. Let me be on time for my appointment.
Go to your appointment. I'm gonna close this out and say goodbye to the people. But I am just so enjoyed you. And we will let's do this again at the end of the week. What's today? Monday? Tuesday? Let's talk about doing it maybe Thursday or Friday.
That sounds good to me. You know how to reach me.
I do. I inbox me your number.
I will.
All right. Love you, girl.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Oh my God. That was like the most, I so enjoyed talking to Samantha, and I enjoyed our conversation. There was something else other than Biden that I was going to talk about. And guess what? I forgot. We talked about so much, right? We talked about reparations. We talked about the administration and this new administration coming in and holding them accountable. We have to hold them accountable. It's imperative that we hold this new administration accountable, because if we do what we always did, guess what? We're going to get what we always got, which is nothing. And that's just that's the realism of it. I have so enjoyed all of you. I enjoyed this time we had together. I'm so glad we had this time. No, I don't own the rights to that. So I'm not going to do that, but I am so glad that I was able to spend this time with you this morning. I did have my coffee. However, there was no sugar in it, so I did not get to drink my coffee this morning. But the next time we're going to grab our coffee or orange juice, whatever your morning drink is. And this is Coffee Talk. Thank you for joining us. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.